Hi, I'm Chef Raphael and welcome to my channel. Today's recipe, wow, it's crispy, it's juicy on the inside, and I'm talking about the chicken tenders or chicken goujon's, chicken fingers. I don't know whatever name you give them, they're just delicious. So it's breadcrumbed on the outside, it's juicy on the inside, deep fried, and then I've made it with some creamy mayonnaise, aioli, basically garlic mayonnaise. Take it by itself, it's really delicious, but it's super delicious when you have it with the aioli. And I'll show you how to make the whole dish, the chicken and the aioli, using the all new Blue Band mayonnaise. Let's get started. So if you're new to the show or new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell button, and you're notified whenever I have a new recipe out or a new video out. This channel is all about making you a better home cook or a home baker. Today's recipe, it's about the aioli, and for the aioli we'll do it last. But before we get to that, let me show you how to do the chicken. In the restaurant, we call them chicken goujon's. But basically it's like fish fingers, but it's the chicken version of it. The first thing you need is to make sure you have the whole setup ready. We're going to season the breadcrumbs, also the flour, that's salt and pepper a little bit. You can use basically any boneless chicken part, even the one that doesn't look so nice. But if you want to get the nice strips, it's good to use the chicken breast. And then this is an example of what I meant. This is the fillet that comes inside the chicken breast. So this one, usually you leave it by itself. The idea is to try and make them even size. So I'll use this as my guide in terms of the thickness that I want, because whenever you're cooking them, you want them to be the same size so that they actually cook evenly. I'm going with the slightly long pieces like that. So for the bigger piece, now you have to be really careful on how you cut it so that you actually get even sized pieces. If you're going long, then you go long for all of them like this, then you do the same. But sometimes it's very hard to get all even sized pieces, and what I'm doing now, the longer ones I'm putting them on one side, then the shorter ones on the other. Also, the trick is to try and make them evenly, the thickness. Sometimes it's really hard, and if you feel it's too long, you can always trim it, because to be honest, you can actually use the chicken, especially when if you have smaller pieces, you can use them as a stew for cooking them differently. So for uniformity, what I'm trying to do is to measure all of them like that, so that I see would they all be the same length. So as you can see, some are longer than others, but I think I'll just leave them like that. If you can actually decide to cut them all and trim them all so that they are all the same length, but you don't have to. The first thing you need to do is to season. So salt and pepper, then mix them. So what I have here with the egg, I actually have one egg, and then I added a little bit of water. You can even add some milk, but water is just fine. But you can also add 2 eggs, but to be honest, you don't really need 2 eggs. Just adding a little bit of water will be okay. And now here's where the trick comes in. Whenever you're doing this kind of a setup, you can either do it when you're 2 of you, because there is a sequence that goes, starts with the flour, egg, and then breadcrumbs. Now you can choose which hand will be for which purpose, especially when you're doing it by yourself. One hand for the wet, one hand for the dry. So you start with the one that will be the dry hand. After picking up, shaking off the excess flour, dipping them in the egg. The reason why we do this, by the way, is to make sure that the egg, we dip them in the flour so that the egg actually gets to stick on the flour. So that is dry, so wet hand. Make sure all sides are actually covered with the egg, and then shake off excess. The reason why again we shake off the excess liquid is you don't want to have big lumps in the breadcrumbs. And then your dry hand gently mixing them like that, and making sure that all the pieces, all the parts are actually covered with the breadcrumbs. So you can actually press them like that, and you can actually leave it also at this stage and deep fry it. But to make it more crunchy, what is the best way to do it is to return it to the egg, and then the wet hand, then shake off the excess, then back to the breadcrumb. So doing this will give you a better coating and a nicer crunch when you're biting into the chicken fingers. So I'm going to finish off all my mixture, and then it will be time to start frying. So now I've set them aside, the smaller ones, put them aside so that you actually cook them first, or you cook them separately from the bigger ones, because if they are different sizes, they'll actually cook differently. So I'll start with the smaller batch and then go to this, and you can actually store them like this in the fridge, maybe you don't have to fry them immediately, but usually if you leave them longer than you should, let's say more than 1 day, what they usually tend to do is start becoming wet. But another way you can do this is freeze them, but to be honest, you'd rather just make them fresh, the way I'm going to do right now. And in case they become moist, especially if you put them in the fridge, just dip them in fresh breadcrumbs. They will become dry again, and then fry them immediately. So let's start frying them. So they're ready, fried and delicious looking. Now let's do the aioli. Basically, like I said in the beginning, aioli is garlic and mayonnaise. I'm using 2 cloves of garlic, and maybe I don't have to use the whole amount. It depends on how much of the garlic flavor you want. Just chop them into small, really fine pieces. So I'm going to put about 3/4 the amount. Then Blue Band mayonnaise. The Blue Band mayonnaise has a nice flavor to it, and even if you don't like the garlic, you can even actually just have it plain and then use this as a dipping sauce. Remember, this is the dipping sauce that you're using. All you now need to do is to arrange them round and round, and the smaller pieces I'm going to put them here. And then now for the sauce, just dip, because when you're serving this, you're serving it as it is. Somebody can use a small spoon or just dip, and then when it comes to the taste, perfect. The chicken tenders or chicken fingers or chicken gujons are juicy because of the deep frying. The juice is still stuck in the inside, and the garlic and the mayonnaise now completes the whole experience, and it's wow. Every time I have a meal with the Blue Band mayonnaise, any meal that I have with it, it's just the perfect mayonnaise. Don't take my word for it. Go and buy yours and try it, and hope you've learned something new. Today I'm showing you how to make chicken gujons or chicken fingers or chicken tenders, and I've served with a creamy mayonnaise aioli, and I'm sure you like it. Try it today. Let me know how yours turns out. Remember, this channel is all about making you a better home cook. It can't get simpler than this. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button. Also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Until next time, goodbye.